What is my favorite boss in the Ocarina of Time? Honestly, that's a hard question. I was thinking about it one day and was quite stumped as to who would be a good choice. Like maybe Valagia? It is a great atmosphere with a real reason to punish the dragon for eating all the Gorons. Although she can keep Metagoron, that Goron is more useless than the security guard mall. Twin Rover is pretty cool, being like a fire and ice sister who merge into one final boss. It makes for an epic battle, although the mirror shield controls aren't exactly perfect in it. I'll skip Morpha. If done correctly, this boss is as dull as fishing. Sitting there hoping for a nibble, and probably smells bad too. The answer I seem to settle on is Phantom Ganon. He is the boss of the Forest Temple, the first temple you face as an adult. For background, Link has just become an adult by wielding the Master Sword and beginning his true adventure. 7 years has passed and he must free all the sages to defeat Ganon. First up is the one residing in his home, the forest. You venture through the Lost Woods, Sacred Meadow, and to the bottom of the Forest Temple, all unbelievable levels by the way. And who is sitting down there? But Ganondorf. Or not really, as he puts on his mask and it's revealed that he's Phantom Ganon. That sets the stage for quite a duel with this boss. After exploring the mysterious dungeon, you have to defeat a servant of the big guy himself in a haunting feeling of a room. I think it's an awesome battle, and the best boss in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. So why do I make this claim? Well, buckle up and join me as I explain. I promise we won't get into a car crash. I've dealt with enough of those. I'm still beyond amazed at how many dumbasses don't know what a fucking red light means. I do love how this game transitions from easier levels and bosses to taking them up quite a notch when you become an adult. I think Phantom Ganon is a great symbol of that. Until now, the monsters you have fought may look terrifying and overwhelming for just a kid, but they all aren't too hard. Like King Dodongo is the slowest fire blast ever and then proceeds to kill himself. So then you get to face Phantom Ganon. It's a pretty dark and constricted battle arena. Something that sure you might get in Goma or Dodongo, but they only really have one element of that. The boss takes multiple phases to beat, which Baronade kinda does even though phases all kinda play the same way. And overall, beating this boss is much harder. The other bosses don't have a lightning attack that covers basically the entire arena. He does gotta work on missing these key spots though. The other bosses also don't have a quick-paced timing challenge in rallying those magic blasts. I like how this boss truly presents a challenge, and the game prepares you well for it. Like, you're welcome to Kokiri Forest like this. At least it beats walking into your buddy's place that is extremely smelly. You're already getting prepared for a world that's no longer as friendly. Before we even get to the dungeon, the monsters are a lot more terrifying, like these guardians right here. And the enemies in the dungeon are all trickier, a lot more than just kind of the bats or the jellyfish you run into. You're definitely ready for more of a challenge, and you get more of a challenge, and it's a lot of fun. It helps make Phantom Ganon the best boss in this game. There's also a noticeable increase in the creativity of this boss fight versus the previous ones. Zelda fights are always good with this. They aren't just hack and slash and hope you whack your opponent to smithereens. No, it's a tactical fight where you have to expose your enemy's weakness and only then can you kill the boss. It requires creative thinking. It requires to puzzle out the fight before you jump into it. I love this element to boss fights. It makes them some of the best. Figuring out how to stun Goma's eyes or throw bombs into Dongo's mouth, it really isn't much puzzling and creativity. None of the kid dungeons were over the top, but then you got Phantom Ganon. This fight takes more thought process and it is quite creative. Already it's two parts with two different weaknesses to figure out. The first is finding the right Phantom in the paintings. Choose right and you can nail him with an arrow. Choose wrong and you're risking a shocking result. After all that, you have a new challenge to face as he ditches the horse in the painting trick to fight you in this arena. He floats around and throws magic balls at you. Link has to deflect them back to Ganon to stun him. As puzzles go, okay, there isn't much figuring out here, but the fact that we're already into a second part already adds another element that most of these bosses do not have. Volvalgia, Morpha, and Bongo Bongo do not really have this second element to it, which this second element presents a neat challenge to the player. And sure, maybe there are more creative bosses out there, but if you're looking just the Ocarina of Time, Phantom Ganon is probably the most creative of the bunch. I love the feeling you get in this fight too. The stage is set for when you fight Phantom Ganon and the fight that comes with it is so well done. To start, you just ran into Ganondorf hunting down the princess. I say that, but then in no time, 7 years pass, which doesn't really make sense, but because you time travel, which, just saying it out loud, actually, it sounds like it'd be quite mind-boggling when it happens to you. And then you explore this mysterious temple deep in your home village. And in this eerie room at the base of the temple, it's Ganon, or his Wish.com knockoff version. Like when you get there, you're more motivated to take him on and take him down. And I love the stage too where you fight him. All these paintings surrounding you with the horse running up and down him, it kind of gives you the bit of that Headless Horseman story vibe. You know, that whole tale from back in the day. It's dimly lit where you really don't know all there is to this room. You are roughly fenced in, and even more bluntly, as when you try to leave, the fence really gets in your face. I don't know, it's kind of hard to put into words, but this room is exciting. It feels like an awesome place for a showdown you still don't fully understand. It further adds to why I believe it is the best. I say it's the best, but this was hard to think about. There are many good bosses in this game, and each of the bosses has its own flaw. Like, if you ask 100 people this question, I bet the most common answer would only get like 25 votes. I'd honestly be curious of the other answers. I'd love to listen to them. Another fun debate could be what is the weakest boss in the Ocarina of Time, which that is a tough question. It really is. Well, I guess you all know another video I'll be making, as I gotta answer that question too. And you are all watching this video probably have your own answers to it. I bet you it's different than the one I said. But Phantom Ganon deserves good praise. He is a terrific boss, and yet another reason why Ocarina of Time is a fantastic game.